Okay, we are back with round 2 of the first day of the LTC in Strasbourg.
Looks like he has mulliganed to 5.
Marath
From
seems,
the amount of cards
Marath
he
has a
presented at the
mulligan to
beginning
5.
there.
So we have
We see a
Marath.
Force of Will for an Esper Sentinel.
Correct.
So very interesting turn 1 already.
And then we have a interesting decision to pitch. Oh no, never mind. The Tamiro draw card gain 2 energy counter came off of the Elegant Parlor, right? Yeah.
Was surveilled off the Elegant
Exactly.
Parlor. So there's only no blue mana on the Satya side. And now we see an Elvish Mystic and an Avacyn's Pilgrim off a wild growth land.
Marath actually kept a 1-lander with those 5 cards, in addition to the Wild Growth.
And a couple of dorks, so that's I think that's fine. We'll see how this develops. So I think we're probably going to see a Marath cast here.
Yeah.
No, we see a Keen-Eyed Curator.
Okay.
So he's looking to pressure the graveyard. Not sure how good pressuring the graveyard is.
I mean, this one, with the current board state, if he doesn't play anything else right now, he can fetch, and then he exiles. Oh no! Why does he attack? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Oh, he attacks. Okay, no, that. Well, I mean, if he's not expecting to do anything with the, but
Yeah, what he could do end of turn is exiling the
yeah.
Force, exiling Esper Sentinel, exiling the land, and then he has 4 types, and the Key Knight is already a 7/7.
Yeah, and he could also be blocking.
And that's a very awkward situation. I mean, Keen Eye survives because now there's a judge call.
Is he a judge?
Interesting. Maybe the question is, yeah, if the trigger goes on stack and you excise something, then the trigger does less damage. That's the case.
Yep. It checks on
resolution
as it goes on the stack and then on resolution.
Again, exactly. So he can fetch and exile the Esper Sentinel, and it would only deal 2 damage because at that point there would be 2 instants and 1 land in the graveyard.
Yep. And then he can swing back 4/7 against an 0/1 Pyroglyph. So that it's a pretty good board state for Marath if he manages to navigate this correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
If he doesn't do anything, if he doesn't exile his Esper Sentinel, then it's gonna die, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, he would have probably expected a Satya cast here on turn 4.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I mean, okay. You can, if there's no board, if there's an empty board, then you want to develop first and then have Satya cast as a follow-up.
Yep.
Of course, next turn there might be a Satya cast into copying the Pyroglyph.
If the Pyroglyph is an 0/1, then he should be pretty happy.
That's a beautiful plateau alteration.
Found the line here.
Yeah, that's a really cool alteration of the plateau. I like that a lot. That looks cool with the moon. Okay, getting rid of a dork.
Okay, so okay, interesting. Yeah, so he decided.
Well, I mean, the 2 damage
exile on the stack.
Yeah,
he didn't wait for the Pyroglyph to target.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah.
And now we can exile a land and exile a instant, which is, the Force of Will. And now this is a big raccoon. Here to cause some troubles. I'm not sure. I mean, you could sacrifice your Pyroglyph. On the other hand, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, since the raccoon has trample. So you probably don't sacrifice your Pyroglyph. In
Yep.
response, he can just get rid of both cards in graveyard. This is a card when we played in Prague that I didn't read fully, and I was missing the fact that it has trample, and it cost me a game. Because like there's the very last line of the card, and then the last line is most often very relevant. Do you remember when we played Vinota against Omnath, I think?
Yep.
And we
And in
both
the middle,
missed
there's
then
like they
something
gain
with
indestructible.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And then people were like, "Oh man, all those cards have indestructible," and we're like, "Yeah, well, there's so much text on the card. Come on."
Yep. It's a sort of an instance of power creep.
Yes.
But also sometimes you just don't read the card correctly and you miss something. People make a lot of jokes about questing beast having so many lines of text where every time they read it they discover a new thing that it does.
Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah.
So here we have Satya. It's probably going to copy the Pyroglyph. And again, I don't know, like he chooses to play the bird. I can somewhat understand it. But I think the Satya player had or has 2 cards in hand right now. So after the draw, he had 3 cards in hand. It's not like there are tons of crazy plays the deck can bring up. So I would have rather kept up the mana to make sure it's a 0/0 Pyroglyph.
Yep.
Because now he just lost the bird. There is a grove of the Burn Willows. Okay. Cool. And now we see the Marath cast you wanted to see earlier. I think the raccoon will take it home, right? No blocks, going down to 1? Or did he? No, he jumped with the Pyroglyph. Okay. So only 5 damage, I think. Yep. Which could mean that again, he could have no, never mind. I mean, he could have exiled the creature to do 1 more damage.
I'm not sure if it was this player or if it was a different player, but I had a Satya player go turn 2 Guide of Souls, turn 3 Ajani, turn 4 missing his land drops the whole time, turn 4 Amped Raptor, and use 4 energy to cast a Chaos Adventurer.
That's a good lineup.
So I think this is the best deck for Amped Raptor, and Amped Raptor is an incredibly powerful card.
Definitely.
Just in terms of the value it supplies, like even just looking at this board state, you have so much, like a 2/1 first strike body is always going to be relevant. There are a couple of situations against a Bowmaster or something, but then even then it's eaten a trigger, right? So
yeah, I mean, people played in Reddick Wins, right? So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Here we have a Mantis Rider, one of my favorite cards. It's this card is pure Jeskai. Really cool. Reminds me of the good old modern times. 5-color human. Or humans, actually. And since you create so many energy tokens with your commander, sure, you can pay more mana to cast all those fancy cards. Guide of Souls, there is the cantrip we saw that is currently in exile. There's also Static Prison. So a couple of good cards. In this deck, you could even have a one-sided board wipe with the Wrath. And now we have another Judge Call, and I think this one is regarding the Broadside Bombardiers. So a copy of the Broadside Bombardiers would come in attacking, which would not trigger the boast of the copy.
You know this.
I had a the same judge case in Darmstadt.
Yeah. Okay.
And the judge said that it comes attacked, so and both only triggers when it's attacking. Since it already comes attacked, it doesn't trigger the both. But I mean, in this case, he could just get rid of the bombardiers in response prior to going to combat, right?
Yep.
So not even the original copy. Yeah, and that's what he does. That seems fine.
Yeah, so it looks like 14 life is just going to be a little too much, right? Or maybe
Yeah, it
no,
seems.
the Keen-Eyed Curator, he can put 3 toughness in front of it, 4 toughness in front of it, but it's not going to stop him. And he can also shoot. He can just not block and shoot the damage with the last remaining damage with Marath. So
Where
this
does the
seems like
life link come from? What is it that grants life link? That he gains back to life? Or that they just correct something? No, okay, he was on 3. That's right.
okay.
So
About
that's
to say, was there another line in the middle of Satya where you gain 2 life?
yeah. So that's a
that I missed?
prismatic ending for the human monk, and that should be it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Swinging for 7.
So that is game 1 down. We'll see how it goes for Marath when he hasn't mulliganed to 5. But
Yes.
it's rare that I think it's rare in most games of Duel Commander nowadays to see a single card being cast on turn 3 or turn 4. No, I thought it was turn 3, right? That the Keen-Eyed Curator was cast and just run away with the game,
Yeah.
win the game in sequence. Since such a creature is always there's so much removal for it, but if there's an opposing aggro deck and they don't find the removal, then sometimes your 7/7 Tramper is going to win you the game.
Yes, definitely. Also, Esper Sentinel bringing 2 types at once really helped on that one.
Yes, that's correct.
So here we have a card, Tax Collector, that you sometimes also see with Failure. Much more in Satya, actually. And here we have another new card from a secret layer, the Black Panther, Wakandan King. So whenever this one or another creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target land, and for 3 you move all 1/1 counters onto a target creature. You gain that much life and draw a card. Okay, interesting. Not too sure if this card makes the cut. It looks a bit cute, to be honest.
I think the gain that much life and draw a card. This can sort of, I'd say, run away with the game, especially because that's an instant speed ability that, if you stack, say, like 4 +1/+1 counters on a creature, and then you attack with 2 creatures, and the opponent can only block 1, you can move the counters on the unblocked creature and do a lot of damage that way. Also, we don't know what the Marath player's deck list is, or maybe you do, but
I do
it
not.
might be a
I do
build.
not.
It might be a build that focuses a lot more on +1/+1 counters, and if that's the case, then this card might be good enough, right?
Yeah. So what I was intentionally doing here is I was editing the matches, but like only looking at the artworks, just that we have some cards that we don't know on the right side, but to have like, and also doing it like in a sequence, like game after game. So by the time I edited game 4, I already forgot about game 1, so that I'm not really biased and know what's going on in the matchup already. And that's why I also took no closer look to the deck list, actually. Here we have another new card, the Reluctant Role Model. Also something that, yeah, could could fit into a Marath strategy.
Mm.
That's difficult
Does it
to
give
pronounce.
Death Touch? No, right?
The role model, I think not. The role
Okay.
model gives lifelink, vigilance, and something else, I guess. But here, talking of Death
Probably
Touch, we
first
have
strike.
the Basilisk collar. That's a good reason to play Marath. Equip 2 is always a bit difficult.
But then pay one mana to kill a creature is very
it's
good.
very powerful.
Kill a creature and gain 1 life.
Also, there is this. I don't even know how the ability is called. Oh Jesus, there's an ability which was it soulbound that pairs your creature with another creature. And there's a green one
soulbound, yep.
for 2 mana. As long as it's soulbound to another creature, both creatures have Death Touch. This one,
Yep.
You played in Marath back then, and then Marath was banned for quite some time. It was unbanned again. People tinkering with the deck like crazy, and they figured that this one is not worth it anymore. It's pretty much with any other 3-color plus mid-range deck. You don't really need your commander in many situations. Like, it's just something on top, right? And Marath isn't the worst Naya commander, I was about to say. So we have the Static Prison card I was talking about earlier. Failure also fits quite well into Satya with all these ETBs. I'm not sure about Satya's hand, but having the Skyclave exiling the Black Panther was maybe a bit too hasty. Also because if you have Failure in your hand, you might want to deploy Failure first and then have like double value gained from Skyclave.
Yep.
Yeah, I know Marath entered the field and stuff, and this one denies your interaction. I know that. I'm not sure. I mean, we saw some counter magic in the first game. There could be some tempo spells waiting in the hand. So Lightning Helix to deal with Marath, and here we have the Paw Patch Recruit. That's a new card from Bloomburrow. Also with a new ability that's basically just Kicker, right? Offspring.
Lots of creatures that are basically, lots of cards that are basically just kicker
Well,
abilities.
You mean lots of abilities? Yeah, that's basically
lots of abilities are
that's
basically just
the claim,
kicker, yeah.
right? From the professor, and he's actually right. I mean,
yep.
But yeah, cool to have an Offspring card. I actually like it. I actually like the fact that they create identical tokens of the cards. I think the first time we saw it was with Tamogolf, if I'm not mistaken. The Tamogolf tokens in the Modern Horizons 3
Oh, you mean
set.
cards that create identical
tokens? Yes.
Tokens, yeah. Not just not the Offspring ability.
No. It's just about the fact that we have identical tokens created with abilities, like with much more, and it needs a separate token to how do you say it? It's usually you have only cards that do some tokens, like the Skyclave is producing a whatsoever illusion token and stuff, and it's not like creating more complex tokens. Let's say it like this.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a cool way to sort of execute that. On the other hand, it is another thing that kind of adds complexity to the game, and also you have to get all the fucking tokens.
That is correct. That
is annoying.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
Having to especially for people like us who don't really draft or get sealed product. But
Yeah, and still, when we record games for you, we want to show you, like, we want to use all the real cards. Also,
Yeah.
we want to have the real tokens. Then you have to order this stuff, and sometimes you have to order at 5 different guys, and because this guy has this token, and well, yeah.
Yeah.
But so far, I think there aren't any relevant offspring cards. This one is a bit cute.
There's the rabbit. I think maybe there's going to be lists that can make good use of Thunderclap Trainer, I think is what it's called. The
Right.
otter.
The new
Um,
Augur of Bolas, right?
yeah, the new
Yeah,
Ogre of
yeah,
Bolas
fair
that
enough.
also, for 6 mana, being able to put 2 bodies on the field and draw 2 cards
Yeah,
in
definitely.
kind of the ideal case is going to be pretty good in some lists.
Maybe
Yeah.
the audience can name a few more. I mean, it's half a year ago that the Bloomberg set was spoiled. No, not entirely. That's not true. Not half a year,
I
but
feel
like
like
4
it was
months.
like 3 weeks ago that the whole
Yeah,
set came out.
actually, that's
So,
another thing. It feels much shorter, but I think it's like 4 or 5 months. I'm not entirely sure.
yeah.
Something around summer. So here we have a Snapcaster Mage. Getting back to Lightning Helix, and the Lightning Helix is going. What is happening? Isn't I thought he has another. He has a Fury or Pyrokinesis in hand, right? Isn't that the case? But he has no pitch.
Maybe he has no pitch.
That could be the case.
I'm not sure. I didn't see.
I think he has a
But
Pyrokinesis in hand. I saw it at some point. Okay, so we had a trigger here. The rabbit was boosting another rabbit. And now we have a Marath for 5. Yeah, there's the Pyrokinesis and a blue card. Okay, so he has no pitch. That's unfortunate. The situation on board looks quite difficult for Satya. Lots of creatures to deal with. And if it isn't for the energy Wrath, which he probably does not play, I'm not sure.
Wrath of the Skies.
Wrath of the
Yeah,
Skies.
well, I would be surprised if he didn't, because that's a very good card.
It's a very good card, and it fits very well into this strategy.
But maybe he doesn't, just because he plays so many ways to get on the board and so much
Yeah,
has to commit
exactly.
to the
You
board
know,
so
like,
much.
I mean, you don't really have any tutors to find it.
True.
Or any way to find it, like
Spell Seeker, maybe. I don't know if you play Spell Seeker.
Probably Spell Seeker. That's right. That's
I
actually
think
really cool.
there is, I'd say, like one thing that's interesting on this board state is that when Satya is behind, you have the issue of, if you start trading bodies, if you don't manage to keep your creatures on board, you're very rarely going to have a situation where you can cast Satya and it puts you in a very good position.
Yeah.
Playing Satya when you are ahead is incredibly powerful and is usually going to kill the opponent the turn that you cast Satya or the turn afterwards. But if you are not ahead, then the commander is a lot worse than notably Aragorn, right? Where
that's right.
You can play your creature, you can basically play to have an empty board, and then no matter what happens, Aragorn is probably going to be able to navigate you out of that empty board. By giving you the monarch, and even if Aragorn dies, you can probably prevent the monarch being taken, and then you're in a pretty strong position from there.
Okay, now he decides to. Sorry, I apologize. Stormdrake and change Marath. I'm not. Okay, he has 1 mana left, so the Pyrokinesis hardcast wouldn't do too much. So he decides to trade the Storm Drake with Marath. You know what's very unfortunate? That the Storm Drake actually has hexproof from activated abilities, so you cannot take over Marath and roast the Storm Drake in return.
True. But also, he just roast the tax collector, and then there's a 2/2 Marath on the board against quite a lot of bodies, right?
I think he only
Or
had
what
one
about-
mana left. Only one mana left.
Yeah, so he can. Oh wait, no, the tax collector's a 2/2, not a 2/1.
Yeah, exactly.
He did the damage phase.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, that changes it.
Yeah, so now you can pay 2 to get rid of the... No, not like this. No, 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 no. You can... Okay, people. So you can pay 2 mana to deal 2 damage at once. You can also pay 4 mana to... That's not... That's a suboptimal sequence because you grant 2 triggers instead of 1. So he just activated Marath twice for 1 ping, which makes the role model much bigger. And there is a Guide of Souls. That's a card that Satya knows very well about. And here is a White Plume also. Yeah, that seems to be it, right? And it seems that the Storm Drake also has a counter. So he can attach the collar to the Storm Drake, attack for 4 in the air, gain 4 life. I think it will be very hard for Satya to get back here. What do you think? That's a cool mountain. That's a cool mountain. I like that.
That is a cool mountain. I think. Yeah, I mean, 18 life is quite a lot of life. So,
I think the role model is also has lifelink plus there should be another utility counter on it. Or maybe now it has lifelink and flying. I'm not entirely sure. But that was 8 damage already. And then there's the Guide of Souls. And then there's the White Plume.
Yep.
So that's... But he is tapped out? No, he's not tapped out. I mean, he has no cards in hand. And he made no use of the Basilisk Collar, right? He could have equipped.
That's
2
true.
energy. That's a cool energy counter, actually. Is it from Fallout? I think it's from Fallout, right?
Might be.
Yeah, because it has the triangle DC, like the holo stamp on the bottom. This could be a promo thing. Also with the yellow sleeve, it looks good. So we have for 6 mana Satya. That seems to be a bit of a desperate cast. Probably still no pitch for Pyrokinesis. 8 minutes left on the clock. Opponent with initiative and 14 HP.
So this is always one of those things where you have to think back and remember that these guys are playing in a tournament, and the tournament context is always there. And I feel like when you look at recordings or streams, you kind of lose that, where there's a round timer, so there's always the pressure of going to turns, and there's going to be people watching over your shoulder sometimes. Not in this case because they were in like a cage basically.
Separate.
But
I mean, you have the timer right next to you, right?
Yeah.
That usually you don't have that luxury. Usually, you have it somewhere on a beamer or on a screen or whatsoever, and then sometimes you have a look at it. But it's not like this is like playing next to your chess clock. Like, okay, I only have like 7 minutes, and I'm under pressure. My opponent is doing things.
Yep.
Actually, like for us now, having a look and casting this matchup, it's quite good to know that the game is close to its end, so we can also understand why they seem to play a bit faster now.
Yep.
but I'm still not sure. Like, I would probably give it another 1 or 2 turns. There's not that much left, anyways. Like, next turn, if you don't get back the initiative, and you will probably not get back the initiative, we're already in Marath's turn again. So, and he gave him the initiative. It seems.
Interesting.
Am I wrong? No, I'm wrong. Or did he? Because he. Otherwise, yeah. Now he has the trigger for the forge trigger. He also decided not to attack with the White Bloom, to not lose it to double block. Okay. So playing it very conservatively, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now you have
Yeah, I
3
mean,
creatures
I
on
think
board. I don't know.
when you look at this kind of board state, you have the situation of combat being the most difficult
Yeah.
thing in Magic,
Yeah.
where it's. I feel like sometimes people
That's a quote from
don't really look at what is like all happening on the board and how you might be able to get the most out of your combat step.
Yeah. That's actually a quote from a known or famous person in the Duel Commander community, let's say like this. And in this case, it's very true. It's not always the most complex step or not only always connected to the most complex decision making, but in many cases it is. And here we have a good example. Yeah, but there's not much happening. There's the Mantis Rider again.
We see the double block for Satya.
Yeah.
And the token looks like it's going to be going unblocked.
I mean, it's
1 damage.
flying, right?
2.
And this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why don't you roast those Mystic, the Elvish Mystic, in advance, so you force your opponent to block with either the Guide of Souls or the Drake? Because now you don't win anything, right? The White Plume is 5/5. You cannot trade with the White Plume. So this, I don't know, maybe a bit of tunnel visioning.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the, I'd say, downsides of Marath, where you have this absolute wealth of things that you can do with it, with pumping your creatures or shooting damage or making elementals. And
but actually, it seems, sorry to interrupt you, but it seems he did that prior to blocking. Like, the opponent already assigned blockers, but he said, okay, maybe, because otherwise Satya should be dead,
they
right?
took it back. Yeah, because the token that entered was a copy of Tax Collector, which removed the. It should have removed that. He looked at the Volatile Drake, but the Volatile Drake, does it also have damage protection from triggered abilities?
Yeah, triggered and activated. That shouldn't work.
Then it shouldn't have worked, right?
Yeah. And here is a concession because the combat damage will just seal the deal down to 1 after the trap stage of the Undercity. Interesting match, a bit, a couple of debatable decisions on both sides, but in the end, Satya was unable to take it home through all those creatures and the value that Marath generated. Thank you. That being said, thanks for tuning in to the second round, and we will be back with the third round.
Yeah.
And another matchup.
Time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.